Hello and welcome to what is, I believe, the 12th episode of the Gem City Gridiron Roundup podcast. As always, I am your host, Dalton Van Pelt Scotch on the sidelines. This week, mixing it up a little bit. On with us, we have the two-time champion and Cody Jubal Sackett on the show, co-hosting with me. How you doing, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me on. People's Commish. Shout out to Matt.
All right, let's fire this bad boy up. You're familiar with the format of this show. Cardinals Seahawks Thursday night. What a great matchup. Did you check this one out?
Yeah, caught most of it. Barn burner, start to finish. Got a couple good playoff teams there fighting for that NFC West. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out of that division. But no, it was a good game. I was a little bit surprised that the Cardinals struggled as much as they did on offense, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially Jamal Adams is in the secondary. But
oh, man. I got to rewind this real quick. For some reason, I decided I wanted to get into MLS for God knows why. I have no idea. So I've got this on the screen, and we're in the 106th minute in this playoff matchup, and Nashville scores. So I just missed it. Anyway.
No comment on soccer.
I don't know why I'm getting into it. Maybe it had something to do with how much I liked the World Cup when I was in Scotland. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, man. That was too easy. Anyway, all right, moving on. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was when I was in Scotland watching the World Cup that there was nothing else on to watch. So at nights I would go watch sports because I didn't bring my phone, or I didn't put a international plan on my phone at the time. So it was literally just go to the bar and watch the World Cup.
So you like beer, not soccer.
All right. Eagles, Browns. Browns take care of business. Carson Wentz is bad. Cleveland defense was a great start for anybody who picked them up. And Nick Chubb is a good football player.
I didn't catch a lot of this one. I felt like it was going to be a sloppy game. It sounds like it was. It was on the corner of the NFL mix on Sunday Ticket. And don't have a lot of Eagles or Browns players, so did not have a lot of stake in that matchup.
We had a bunch of grapple again.
Yeah.
Falcons Saints. This is the game that I watched in the morning slot. The Falcons offense was stymied by the pass rush of the Saints. The Saints had like 9 sacks. This is insane. Matt Ryan could not do anything.
I was a little bit surprised. The Saints, that's 2 weeks in a row now, ain't it? They was it the Bucks they had last week and they put the stick to them. So the Saints defense is coming alive here late in the season, and I was a little bit surprised that they started the tight end Taysom Hill over famous Jameis.
It's 2020, man. We got a running back and a tight end starting at quarterback. It's 2020.
They ran the ball right down the Saints' throat, or the Falcons' throat, and made it work. And I haven't seen what their upcoming schedule looks like, but with the Buccaneers dropping one on Monday night, it'll be interesting to see if the Saints can hold on to that division.
I think they're 8-2 right now.
I think they said Breeze had like 11 fractures or something in his ribs.
Yeah, 8 on one side, 3 on the other. That's insane. And a collapse lung?
That sounds like a 40-year-old quarterback.
40-year-old small dude getting tackled. Had no business being out there. I'm just kidding. He's one of the greatest ever. Bengals football team. Zach, did you catch anything on this one?
Other than Joe Burrow getting lit up a couple times and it finally cost him, didn't watch a lot of this game. I saw in the first half, I think Burrow was going towards the end zone, and I think it was Young, defensive lineman for the Washington football team, and he got up on the goal line and fumbled out the end zone. And he's been taking shots all year, and finally in that game they got tackled awkward and twisted that leg over. And you look back at the video, it definitely looked like a bad one. I dropped him before they even announced what it was. So it's unfortunate they got him hurt. You kind of saw the writing on the wall all year, the way he was taking shots, and hopefully the Bengals can surround him with some better protection over this next year.
That's a horrible injury for football in general. Joe Burrow has been so good. on such an abysmal roster.
Yeah, you can see it with both teams too. Like a lot of times when players get hurt, everybody will take a knee and kind of pay their respects. But it's not very often that you get everybody from both teams coming over and making sure they pat you on the head before you go off the field.
Yeah. Lions, Panthers, Matt Stafford and his banged up weapon group could not put a measly drive into the red zone. Did you know that? They were not in the red zone one time all game.
I didn't really watch a lot of this game. I don't even know who the quarterback was for the Panthers. It was some XFL guy.
Yeah, PJ Walker, man, the XFL MVP.
Yeah. And I don't know. I do not know how they pitched a shutout. I don't know what's going on with the Lions. I would have to say Patricia's probably on the hot seat.
Absolutely. Patricia has been dog shit. I had an argument with my buddy the other day about how they should have never moved on from Jim Caldwell. Yeah, just a bad organization all around.
Stafford's banged up right now, and I think they got Galladay out. And I think Swift missed this game too, didn't he?
Yep. Their entire offense was hurt.
A lot of fire. And then they got rid of Darius Slay in the offseason, let him go to Philadelphia, and they just not looking too good.
No. They're just going to have to completely reboot their whole team again.
So hopefully the Panthers are silently competing. They're 4-7, but with them expanding the playoffs, they got a little something to play for. So hopefully I can get McCaffrey back on the field at some point this year.
Especially with how bad the NFC playoff picture is.
Yeah.
Steelers, Jaguars. The Steelers are good. Their wide receivers are good. Moving on.
Yeah.
Titans, Ravens. Did you check this one out? I bet you did.
Yeah, I watched most of this game, even the pregame rituals. It's something like I was listening to McAfee's podcast, and he was saying the Ravens were like praying on center field or something, and Vrabel and Harbaugh were getting ready to throw down right before the game even started. And McAfee broke it down. If Harbaugh and Vrabel got in a fight, who would win? And he took Vrabel. He thought it was going to be a ground and pound matchup. But it was a tough, hard-fought game. The Ravens, they look real bad. Like I don't know what's going on with Lamar this year. I don't know why he can't get any. Like I don't even know what his completion percentage is, but I imagine that's around 50% or less.
Just really bad. Derrick Henry with the walk-off touchdown. Man, since we started this podcast, there's been 3 goals scored in soccer.
Yeah,
That's a lot. All right, Patriots, Texans. Go ahead and break that bad boy down. I'm sure you're feeling it with being a Patriots fan and all.
Yeah, watched most of this game. Patriots have been on a hot streak here lately and roll off a couple of W's. Played the Texans, and Texans have been pretty bad all year, and it was kind of a close back-and-forth game. I think it was a one-score game the entire time, and the Patriots ended up not being able to drive down the field when they needed to at the end, and Watson did just enough to put enough points on the board to win this one. And I think the Patriots are 4-6 now. Texans are 3-7. Texans are probably out of any playoff race. Patriots are probably pretty well out of it too. I don't know what those last wild card spots are looking like now.
It's not looking good.
But I think they've got the Dolphins and the Bills and them coming up. So hopefully they can get back to some normalcy, and we'll see what Cam can put together for the rest of the year.
Dolphins, Broncos, speaking of which, that was a weird game. Tua gets pulled. Apparent injury/performance. Ryan Fitzpatrick marches all the way down the field with a chance to tie it. Throws a pick in the red zone while targeting Devontae Parker. Justin Simmons was ball hawking him and just ran the route for the receiver. That game ends 20-13. A cold one in Denver. You'll have those every now and again.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting decision to pull Tua out of the game. I didn't check the stat line, so I don't know if he had thrown a shit ton of picks or what was going on, but it seems kind of weird to put your young quarterback out there early in the season and break Fitzpatrick's heart, and then a couple weeks later pull Tua out again, middle of a game that was within reach. I don't understand it.
Tua was getting killed all game, and he got a little banged up, and that was part of it. But at the same time, I don't think they were seeing anything that they liked, so they had to swap it over.
Sacrifice the old man.
Jets, Chargers. Herbert is good. Flacco's been better than expected.
Yeah, he's slinging it. Him and Perryman got some chemistry going on.
Yep. Man, what is that? That running back that the Jets were supposed to be trotting out there ends up with a high ankle sprain. Samaje, not
Michael Ryan or something like
Lamichael.
that.
Lamichael, not Samaje. He gets banged
Yeah,
up, high ankle sprain. He's probably out for the rest of the year, to be honest.
you know what that means, man. More Frank Gore, baby.
That's right. He's now the third all-time rusher in NFL history.
Yeah, he's going to be around another decade or so.
Yeah,
If
by the
one thing
time
2020 that hasn't changed is Frank Gore.
there's like 5 more Gem City Gridiron babies, Frank Gore will still be on another team.
No, this was surprisingly, I think this was the Jets made it close at the end, but the stat line doesn't really show. The Chargers were pretty dominant in this game, but it is the Chargers, so God forbid they win by more than one score. But they, my only takeaway from this is Keenan Allen is a freaking beast. I think he had like 16 or something receptions in this game. Dude's an animal. He's not, he's a good athlete, but he's not crazy on the metrics on the athletic side. But he just gets open, man. He can run around.
Yeah, that Keenan Allen, I like that man. He can get open, that man right there.
He's healthy.
Colts, Packers. Colts take care of business in overtime. This one ended kind of weird. I can't exactly remember. Wasn't there a late interception by Rodgers?
Yeah. Overtime was kind of like garbage looking, to be honest. I think both teams had a chance to have the ball, and Rodgers kind of made a bonehead throw.
That rookie, third-round rookie, got the pick, didn't he?
Yep.
That's right. I watched the end of this one. Rodrigo Blankenship missed a 50-yarder that could have cemented it, and that one cost.
Both got a chance for it. Rodrigo
Blankenship. Those glasses that he wears are great.
He has some like apparel coming out, man. He's got his own little fashion line going on, where there's like a silhouette of a dude with the big goggles on his face.
Yeah, those are birth control glasses. That's what those are.
I think I didn't. So I caught part of this game off and on. I think was this a morning game or an afternoon?
Afternoon.
So I caught part of this off and on, and at some point I swear to Phillip Rivers, was he not on the field at some point?
Yeah, so he had like a calf injury at one point. They brought on Jacoby Brissett, and then I think they got like one first down, and then they couldn't do anything. And then Rivers went.
Where Brissett had hit T.Y. Hilton for a pretty good game, and I was like, oh man, maybe they got Phillip out of there.
Yeah, he hates T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he's completely tanked T.Y.'s value this year.
Yep, and then Phillip Rivers went to the locker room in the intermission between the end of regulation and overtime, came back out, got the win.
Gotcha.
Cowboy.
Go ahead. Wasn't sure what was going on when I saw it happening.
Yeah. Cowboys, Vikings. I didn't get to watch this one, unfortunately. This was a very nice offensive performance by both teams. Wide receivers everywhere went off.
Yeah, the Cowboys came out to play. I'm a little bit surprised. The Vikings have been running Dalvin Cook down everybody's throat, and I think Dalvin Cook ended up with a nice game. But I watched this one pretty frequently, watching CD Lamb, and it didn't feel like the Cowboys let the running game of the Vikings kind of dominate most of the game. It felt like they had it under control for most of it.
Yeah, the Vikings still got to run the ball just as much as they wanted to. I believe Kirk Cousins had a chance to win this one and couldn't come through.
Yep.
Adam Thielen, huge game, again, 2 touchdowns, but then he gets put on the COVID list. We'll see what shakes with that later in the week.
Gorgeous touchdowns, too. There's some nice one-handed ones he had in there today.
Chiefs Raiders, the Sunday night game, and it sure did deliver. Derek Carr with the pass to Jason Witten in the front corner of the end zone with, I believe, 1:14 left. And then that's way too much time for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, there's a meme going around of Kelsey that caught the game-winning touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
There's like nobody in the frame. There's like 15 to 20 yards of separation between him and the
ridiculous.
It's like, this is the Raiders defense with the game on the line.
Yeah, that was a blown coverage. That play, the guy tripped right before the end zone, and then Pat found him, and it was over.
Yeah, too much time. They should have tried to bleed it a little bit more, but I think they played twice. The Raiders have lost both games of the Chiefs, right? Or did they
they beat the Chiefs in Week 5.
My personal takeaway is I think that's 2 times that Derek Carr has outplayed Patrick Mahomes head-to-head this year.
Absolutely. Derek Carr was insanely accurate in this game. He was a master of that offense. And that dude is going to do whatever it takes to get them in the postseason this year.
He's they're 6-4, so with that expanded playoffs, they definitely got a chance, and we'll see what they can put together.
They sure play like a playoff team.
Knock on wood if you're with me.
That was a good reference. Speaking of which, moving on to the team that John Gruden used to coach, and now they have a 42-year-old quarterback that cannot throw the ball more than 20 yards down the field. Cody, go ahead and let's bring us home with Monday Night Football.
Yeah, the Monday night game was the LA Rams against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Pretty back and forth game. I think it was close all night again. Another game that was within one score, I think, most of the night. The Rams felt like they were dominating most of the second half, but they were kind of making some mo-head mistakes. Goff had a fumble and an interception, back-to-back drives. And they were doing enough to keep the Buccaneers in the game, and usually Brady makes you pay when you make mistakes like that. And the Bucks had a chance for a game-winning drive. Brady, I forget who he was targeting, but he lofted one over the head of a receiver deep and ended up getting picked off with like a minute left in the game, and that kind of sealed it away. But it was a good competitive game. They got everybody involved. I thought Antonio Brown, he looked pretty good. Chris Godwin, he looks a little bit slow, like he's not quite in the run of things yet there. Mike Evans is a beast. And Kupp and Woods, I think, were like the fifth duo in NFL history to both have 10-plus catches in the same game on the same team.
Yeah, this was a game. This game was a tale of two halves. The first half was insanely explosive, a lot of fun to watch. The second half was more of a defensive effort. The Rams started pressuring Brady like you would not believe. I believe the Bucks had one injury to their offensive line, and so I think it was their right guard, and so they had to plug in their backup right guard. And as soon as that dude went in there, it was over.
The Bucks are a hard team to read, man. They've been up and down. Like there's some games where they've just been completely dominant on offense together. They piece it all together and they look unbeatable. And then you've got games against the Rams and the Saints where they just look completely lopsided. They don't look like they're together at all. Like the coaching staff hasn't pieced together a good game plan for them.
I don't think that bodes well for the playoffs because, you know, you got to win multiple games in a row, and it doesn't look like the Bucks can do that consistently enough.
I'm not too impressed with the coaching staff. The philosophy to me, I think they force a lot of it. Like Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette have been running the ball pretty well. Like I don't think there's any reason to make Brady throw the ball 40 times down the field when you don't have to, especially when it's a one-score game. So I think when they work that play action in, they've been dominant, and when they get away from it and they spread five wide, I think it's costing them. But on the flip side, I think the Rams are looking good here lately, man. Their defense is coming alive. Jalen Ramsey's balling out.
Cooper Kupp, man, he was a man on a mission during this game.
He's a more athletic Edelman for sure.
Yeah, I really like watching him play. Of course, I'm a huge Cooper Kupp fan. I try to draft him every single year. This year it's been a little bit rough for him, but this game was not an indication of that.
Well, Goff, if he can avoid the mistakes, I think he's got a defense and enough offensive weapons that can carry him to a successful season. But I think they're 7-3. I think the Seahawks are at 6 wins, right?
No, because they just beat Arizona, so I think they're also 7-3.
6-4. So, and where are the Niners at? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head. They're a couple behind everybody.
We're still on pace to maybe get 3 of those teams out of that division in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would not blow the roof off my doors.
Whoever can pull off that number 5 seed gets to play the NFC East team first.
Perfect. All right, with that, I think it's time for a break. And when we come back, we'll continue the show. We'll be right back with you. And we are back, kicking it off once again out from the break. No Commish this week, so I figured it'd be a decent time to do a brand new segment. We're going to call it Sports Story from the Week. I'll kick it off, Cody, and then you can bring us your favorite. My favorite sports story from the week is the fact that sports people, athletes, they do not know how to spend their time off without getting in trouble. There's been 2 instances in Latin communities where 2 Latin baseball players have gotten themselves in some hot water. For one, Carlos Martinez he's the former closer of the St. Louis Cardinals. He was down in the Dominican Republic. There was a parade going through the streets, and apparently They have like a mask order down in the Dominican too. And he was riding on a motorcycle shirtless through a parade with no mask on, with a chick on the back of his motorcycle without a top on, and apparently that's a big deal. So now the Cardinals are investigating this. They had to put out a press release, and I was like, who cares? But at the same time, Randy Arozarena, the star of the World Series, just got detained in the Yucatan Peninsula after apparently trying to steal his daughter from his ex-lover and beating the crap out of her father. So that might not end well.
Where do you even find this stuff at?
Exactly. I have my sources. All right. What's your favorite sports story from the week?
You know, I was thinking about this one, and I don't know if you watch a lot of ESPN anymore. I really don't. And most of my insider information is probably coming from the Facebook feed. The one thing that sticks out in my head is the Monday night football game. I watched that pretty close, and it was the first time that a 7-man officiating crew in the NFL has been all African American. They played that up to be a pretty big deal. I think out of I think there's 35 head line judges or something in the NFL, and only 7 of them are African American. So it's the first time they've been able to actually line all of them up together. Usually they all stay on different crews, but I think they kind of forced it. But it's definitely something different between that and what baseball team was it? There was another one where they made a GM, the first female GM. Do you know what that story was?
Yeah, that's the Miami Marlins. They hired Kim Ainge or Enge. It's NG. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. But, yeah, she goes over there with Derek Jeter and the Miami ownership group, and they will be pushing forward with some young talent.
It'll be interesting to see because I don't think the NBA or the NFL have crossed that line yet. So
no.
How far behind they fall on that front.
The NFL has quite a few female owners, but those are all widows.
Yeah. Somebody.
All right. Moving on to the matchups that mattered. Sackett, we'll just go back and forth here. I'll start off with my matchup. In a must-win game for Blaster, he has a very talented team. I get the dub 151 to 128, basically cementing my playoff position. If Blaster had started Robert Woods, we'd be having a different discussion here. 30.6 points, the newly acquired Robert Woods.
Who did he play over him? I guess he's got Rojo and Naheem Hines.
Yep.
Those are tough plays, man. Hines and Jones are both really hit or miss. They can put up 30 or they can put up 0.
Yep. As we've talked about in the show, I don't know if Blaster's been watching. I don't know if we've actually talked about this on the show or not, but what Zach and I have found is this year you basically cannot start running backs in the flex.
Yeah, I would attest to that. I had pretty good luck when I had McCaffrey, Connor, and Montgomery all playing, but once I get down to Singletary and someone else, it usually gets a little shaky.
Yeah. A stat that really stuck out that made that a thing is that when Zach bet me the 36th receiver versus the 24th running back, that really opened my eyes in the fact that wide receivers should always be started over running backs unless you have a top 10 guy.
I would bet if you went back and looked at our teams over the last 10 weeks, there's probably not a lot of times where there's more than 30 running backs in an active lineup.
Wow. That's an interesting stat.
I would bet that on average, we probably lean more towards like a 25 to 35 split if you were to look at our lineups.
Matt, there's a research project for you. We know you love those. All right. Go ahead and break down the next matchup down the line there.
All right. We'll go ahead and jump into my matchup and get Lean out of his suffering here. Yeah, me and Redskins for life took each other on. A little bit nervous early on. He set a pretty good lineup. I thought he had some players that could make some plays, especially with getting Giovanni Bernard in there for Mixon being out. And then, again, I had no McCaffrey, so he's got the Mike Davis advantage over me. He ended up getting a couple stinker. He got 0 from his kicker. and he got 0 from his tight end. That's not usually going to help you win football games or fantasy games either. And my team had a pretty solid day. I got 20, almost 19.2 out of Cam Newton. Leonard Fournette found the end zone. James Conner had a decent day. My wide receivers went off. Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill are both beasts. CD Lamb, I think with Andy Dalton in there, CD Lamb is going to find some new life, hopefully. He's a hell of a route runner. He looks good on the field. And then I just got to figure out Marquise Brown, but I was able to pull out the dub 138-86, and I get a crucial victory. And Lean, unfortunately, falls further into the fold of trying to find a playoff spot here.
As long as Andy Dalton is at quarterback, I think CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are must starts. However, Michael Gallup should be faded as much as possible.
Yeah, he's not a Z receiver kind of quarterback.
Yeah. The goose egg out of Mike or Hollywood Brown did not mess you up.
I thought it did, but then once I saw Hayden Hurst and his kicker put up duds, I was like, yeah, I should be able to overcome that, hopefully. But I think I actually had it clinched on before the Sunday night game, if I remember right. I don't think I even needed any of my Monday night players to do anything. It's like I want to need 86 at that point or something.
If you can get at least 30 points from your tight end kicker defense combo, I think that's a hell of a game. You had 18.5 to Lean's 2, and I think that was a huge a huge difference in this game.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if you put up 140, you feel pretty good about it. And unfortunately for Lean, 90 is just not going to cut it.
No, you can't win with under 100 points.
I know. I think I put up like 80 or 90 or something last week, didn't I?
Yeah, you've had some pretty bad games, I'm not going to lie. All right. Moving on, we got the Commish taking on Dark Horse. The Commish squeaks one out. It was looking really close there at the end with Antonio Brown just continuing to catch pass after pass after pass. Somehow, Zach survives 31 from Deshaun Watson and 32 from Adam Thielen. That's pretty insane. He just had a very, very deep roster all the way through this week.
Yeah, I would say on average, I mean, his quarterback put up 20. Both of his running backs basically put up 20. Devontae Adams put up 20. Metcalf had an off game. Hooper pulled out 6, which is all you can ask for. Deontay Johnson, every once in a while he goes off. He looks good with Ben. T. Higgins, I'm a little bit worried about him without Burrow in the fold.
Yeah.
I don't know who is their quarterback after him. I don't know who it is.
Ryan Finley.
It's been a long time since I heard that name.
Yes.
And he got 20 out of the Browns defense too, which helped him a lot.
Yeah, the Grapple game.
Yeah, that won him the game right there. Between that and Jamison Crowder, kind of screwed over Dark Horse. But yeah, I thought Antonio Brown might pull it out. They had a chance for a game-winning drive, and if he would have caught a touchdown,
it would be an over.
Yep. And
right.
Dark Horse really needed this too. I think I have the tiebreaker on him.
You have the tiebreaker on both of us.
Yeah, we'll look at the standings and stuff with us later. But this was a big
good idea.
Dark Horse, and unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to pull it out.
All right, moving on to the next matchup. You are right. We should definitely dissect the playoff projections because there's only 2 weeks left. Go ahead and break down the next game.
So I'm going to jump over to the Jake from State Farm versus the Filthy Casual matchup. This was a marquee matchup of the week. This is a really important game for both of them. Heath coming into this was 5-5, and Patrick coming in was
4-6.
So they're both on the edge of the playoffs. They really needed it. It ended up being a really close game with Filthy Casual pulling out the dub 108.1 to 105.58.
Chris Godwin, man.
Looking through the individual stat line, it came down to the Monday night matchup. I think Heath was locked in, I believe. He didn't have any Monday night players. And I think Filthy Casual had Chris Godwin and Darrell Henderson, and he needed about 16 points between the two of them. Godwin gave him 18.3. Darrell Henderson threw up a measly 2.9, but it was enough for Patrick to get the dub. Looking through the stats here, you know, both guys had pretty solid outings. I would say Heath is Travis Fulgham and the flex really killed him, and then his running backs. Duke Johnson taking over for David Johnson, only putting up 6.5 points against New England, and Miles Sanders only putting up 9.1. The running backs are killing Heath. Thankfully for him, though, Pat didn't really actually put up a ton of running back points.
No. The shocking part is that Heath is kind of in some hot water here because that was the best running backs players he could have played. His one mistake was Fulgham for Tim Patrick, but Fulgham had been so good. I think the reason why Fulgham is going to continue to drop in production is because the Eagles' wide receiving core is finally starting to get healthy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
He's got some hard lineup decisions every week, man. The bottom half of his roster really drops off, and thankfully here he's got Duke Johnson and Miles Sanders to hopefully pull him through. Chase Edmonds, even with Drake back, has been strong, but he's got a lot of tough lineup decisions every week, and unfortunately, if he doesn't pick right, it's going to be the difference between a 100-point game and a 130-point game.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of these guys are currently in the playoffs. We'll talk on that a little bit later on. Moving on, we had Cole, show me the money, taking on one-hit wonders Drew, who was already eliminated from the postseason going into this matchup. However, this one was much closer than you would have thought. Cole does pick up the W with Mike Evans. As soon as Mike Evans caught that touchdown in the first half, it was over. But before that, Drew actually had a decent chance of pulling this one out. I mean, it was kind of unfathomable that Mike Evans was going to score less than 5 points, but it is possible.
No, I think Drew played a pretty good lineup. We told him
Yes,
to swing
he did.
for the fences in the last week's pod. Was it last week's podcast?
Yep.
I think we told him to swing for the fences because
He did.
Zach really wants that number 1 seed in your guys' division. Taysom Hill, that's a ballsy start. He gets 25 points out of him.
Tony Pollard with 12.
Bust off a 40-yard run. And
Dalton Schultz, he picked him up for 12. He picked up Randall Cobb, 8.7.
If Julio did not have the hamstring issues, one-hit wonders might have pulled this one out.
Absolutely.
Julio half of that game because it's freaking hamstring.
You know what's crazy is the second that Julio was knocked out of that game, that's when the Falcons stopped producing anything.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually enjoy it. This is kind of a sidebar, but I enjoy watching. I don't know how much you watch Marshawn Lattimore, but he's a really good cornerback in this league, probably top 5, I would say.
Yeah.
Easily. And him and Mike Evans seem to be almost equals. They really butt heads when they go against each other. But whenever Julio Jones is healthy, Marshawn Lattimore stands no chance against Julio Jones. To me, Julio Jones is just another completely different level than even Mike Evans, and it shows when he plays that cornerback.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. Unfortunately, Marshawn Lattimore did not participate in this game, which was a huge storyline going into it. So Julio getting hurt is terrible for fantasy managers.
Yeah, it brought some life back to Gage.
Yeah, still didn't matter. The Falcons' offense was just as bad as the Lions this week.
I didn't even see. What did Gurley do this week? I didn't even see what he put up.
3.6 or something like that. He had 1 catch and 20 rushing yards or something.
No touchdown.
No touchdowns. That's what you hope for with Todd Gurley is those touchdowns.
Yep.
All right, final matchup was Luke taking out Stewart, the Brinkman. I think Brinkman is likely out of the postseason just based off of matchups, but we are going back to divisional play, so I wouldn't count him out just yet. Brink actually he puts up a good fight in this one. AP does not come through for him. I believe this one was over before the Monday night game. Nope, Tom Brady comes in and he can't get the 40 points that was required in order to get the W.
Yeah, you would have expected a better showing out of Adrian Peterson for the Brink if Swift was out, and I think Kerryon Johnson played, but they were down to 2 running backs against Carolina, and that front has let up pretty good fantasy production at the running back position. So you'd expect a little bit better day out of him, but the Lions didn't do jack. He had solid outings from everybody else. Tom Brady was a letdown for him. You expect at least 20 out of your quarterback. He tried to pick up Jameis Winston early in the week, and I think had he successfully picked the starting quarterback for the Saints,
He
made
probably would have won.
it would have made a difference for him. But nobody saw the Taysom Hill start coming. He got a sneaky start with Salvan Ahmed with the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Who unfortunately got banged up during that game, where he might have produced a little bit more. But everybody else showed up except for those couple players, and Luke did just enough to not screw it
up. Tom Brady actually only needed 13 more points for Brinkman to take the victory, which was completely.
It was doable.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, Brady's had a couple weeks this year where he's put up 35, 40-point games.
All right. Let's take a look at the playoff possibilities. How's that sound?
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, I did not update my spreadsheet that I make every year, which is all of the tiebreakers and everything like that. But I think we can kind of guesstimate. There's only one person who's mathematically out of the playoffs right now, and that's Drew.
Sorry, Drew.
Let's see.
Technically, he's not guaranteed the toilet seat, right, though? Because he can still consolation prize, right?
Yes, 100%. He still belongs in the consolation bracket. Honestly, it looks like Brinkman is on the bottom of the barrel in terms of the 4-7 teams. And with matchups, that does not bode well. However, it is possible.
Yeah, the tiebreakers get real hairy when when you got freaking 6 teams in the tiebreakers, you assume are head-to-head, but when those head-to-heads go back and forth against people, it gets real complicated. It's hard for me to even process who's going to come out of it.
So Zach pulled up his email again, and correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but I believe it is record, head-to-head versus the group that is tied, divisional record, and then points.
Sounds about right.
Yep. So just to break it down real quick, I think it would be smart to look at all the teams that are log jammed between 5-6 and 4-7 first. How's that sound?
Let's take it division by division.
Division by division. Okay.
Split them apart, and then we'll look at the overall.
All right, go ahead and fire it up, and I'll follow your lead.
So I'll go ahead and do my division, the Corona division. And right now, I'm standing at the top of the division with a 7-4 record. I got Dark Horse trailing me with 6-5. Jake from State Farm 5-6. Opt out for Harambe at 4-7. The Brink at 4-7. And One Hit Wonders at 2-9. I think right now we've got three teams out of these 6 that are in the playoff position. Myself, Dark Horse, and Jake from State Farm. I believe I have the tiebreaker on both those 2, so I've got a good 2 or 3 game advantage on both of them. I think as long as I win on one of these next 2 matchups, I'm probably guaranteed to lock up the overall first seed.
Right. One more win, and you're guaranteed a top 2 spot, I would think, because you do have the tiebreaker on Dark Horse. And let me see real quick.
I don't think I do from Jake. I think that was week 1. I think Heath beat me in week 1 or week 2.
He did beat you in week 1. However, you guys do play this week. This is a huge game. So if you split this, then it would go to divisional record. And with 2 division games going up.
I have 2 game advantage on him right now.
Right. So he'd have to win out and you'd have to lose out. But if you beat him this week, you are guaranteed the number 1 spot in your division.
Yep.
So that is a huge game for Heath. I'll be honest. It's going to be kind of a Heath better make some moves on the waiver wire if there are any to make, because his roster's looking pretty bleak.
And I'm buying for the number 2 spot because I have a hard feeling that a lot of our teams are going to be in the bottom bracket of the playoffs.
Yes.
Trying to get past that first round with an easier team is real important. I don't really want to be stuck in any of those 4-5 or 3-6 matchups. Right
now, you would be facing off against Patrick, which does not look great for you.
That's a tough matchup. But he's on a roll right now, so I'm not so sure that he's going to sit in that spot.
Right. Yeah, he is at 5-6 right now. But let's keep looking at this. Dark Horse, I believe Dark Horse is 1 win away from guaranteeing a playoff spot. What do you think?
I'd agree with that.
Let's look at Dark Horse plays. Drew this week, he is currently projected to lose. However, he does not have somebody in his lineup right now. I'm sure he will fix that prior to the game. If Dark Horse wins against Drew, I believe he guarantees himself a playoff spot. That'd be at 7 wins, and he'd be number 2 in the division. Especially if you take out Heath this week and Dark Horse wins, the top 2 are guaranteed.
Even if he loses both games, I think he has a chance of making the playoffs because looking at where we're at right now, the 8 seed is who is the 8th seed? It is Jake from State Farm at 5 and 6. I have a feeling I think we're going to have somebody with 5 wins probably make the playoffs.
Wow, that's a huge deal. Dark Horse is way up there on points. I know points don't matter as much as they do in some leagues, but that kind of shows you where his team actually falls in the mix. I think he's going to make the playoffs. So that's 2 teams in the playoffs for sure. If Heath loses to you this week, not saying that's a for sure because it's fantasy football, he does get Drew in the final week, which if Drew doesn't win any more games would probably mean at 6 and 7 that Heath also makes the postseason.
Yep. I think if he splits, he can probably limp in.
Now let's look at the next team down, which is actually the highest scoring team in your division. Had Blaster beat me this last week, we would be having a completely different discussion. This week he plays Brinkman, who's on a huge slide right now. So Blaster, if you win this week, you move to 5 and 7. You're likely have to win out to make the postseason just because of how dominant the other division has been. No shade, just stating facts. And then you get to play Blaster in week 13, which is not going to matter for you likely.
Hopefully not. But I do like to spoil people's chances of the playoffs. So.
I do believe that Blaster has to win out to make it. Currently, his divisional record. Why doesn't that show up? Do you have the divisional record?
I don't. No, you got to go back and freaking count them. I think I don't see it.
Not on the mobile app anyway. All right, Brinkman.
If he splits, I think he's got a chance too. It just those tiebreakers. If I think there's going to be 1 or 2 teams with like 5 wins, that one of them could slip into the 8th seed. Because if you look at the bottom right now, you've got 2 and 9, you've got 4 and 7, you've got 4 and 7, and you've got 5 and 6. So you got 2 4 and 7 teams, a 2 and 9 team, and then you got some bunch of 5-win teams that are right there. And one of those
2 5-win teams and 3 4-win teams.
Yeah. I mean, it might take 6 wins to get in, but there's a chance depending on we could just see the people at the top keep running away.
That would be the only way that we have a 5-win team in is if everybody at the top just runs away with it.
Yep.
All right, Brinkman, you got to win out to make it in, and even then you're not fully guaranteed a spot. Brinkman has to face Blaster, who has a tiebreaker on him, and Dark Horse. So quite the uphill climb for Brinkman this year. This might actually be the first year he's ever missed the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah, in his that Week 13 matchup against his brother might get to play spoils there. So.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the COVID division, that wraps it up for the Corona. Any last thoughts on the Corona before we move on?
No, I think one quick note would be the interdivisional play. I think this week it was 5-1. I think your guys' division swept us, except for my 3. I don't know what that brings us total for the.
Zach has that written down. We're smoking you right now. Actually, last week I think we went 4-2 or 5-1, and that is what cemented our division.
I think we had to sweep this week, right? That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was. You guys had to sweep this week in order to still have a chance.
So you probably gained us by 8 to 10 wins somewhere.
Yeah.
So yep. I was happy with my results on it. I managed to split and go 3-3 during it, so I survived.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Now you got to put together a postseason team.
Yep.
But yeah, so you're looking for one more win out of the next 2 to guarantee your spot. looking to spoil Blaster. If Blaster gets the win, he's probably got a great shot to be in if there is a 5-win team that makes it.
Yeah. He's put up a lot of points to be out of the
Shitload of points.
Is he actually leading? Where are you and Zach at? Not quite.
No, he's at 15-21. He is the
Third. He's third.
Fourth leading scorer. It goes the Commish, myself, Cole,
Oh yeah,
and
Show
then
me the money. Just barely
Blaster.
got him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Missing the fourth in scoring and missing the playoffs. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be pretty miserable. I'm not gonna lie. All right, moving on to the COVID division. Cole is guaranteed a playoff spot at 8-3. He does have to face myself this week. This is a huge seeding game. I'm sure Zach would really love for me to beat him this week. So Zach actually has a shot at the number 1 seed.
Do they play each other, or are they?
No. So Cole plays Patrick in week 13 and myself in week 12.
So one of you guys got to give the commissioner the number 1 seed. Or you guys could just completely jack it up and give me the number 1 seed.
I don't know if that's possible. It is possible, but probably not likely.
I would have to win both games, and they would have to lose both games.
Patrick has a tough road ahead, sitting at 5-6. He does have to face the commissioner this week, and then Cole next week. The commissioner in week 13 faces off against Lean, which, sorry, Lean, but that should be a pretty easy win for the commissioner. His team is much better.
And now we jinxed him.
This show has had quite a lot of luck and bad luck associated with it. That's not a joke. All right, moving on to myself. I do face Cole, which has been mentioned previously, and then I get Lucas, who did take me out earlier in the year. All right, did you want to take over the last 3 breakdowns?
Yeah, look at it. Let's see who Luke plays. Luke is sitting at 6-5. There's a chance that if he went 0-2, he could still make the playoffs, but he better win at least 1 to be safe. He's got week 13 matchup is going to be against you, and this week's matchup is Redskins for life. So hopefully he can secure that win this week against Lean.
Sorry, Lean, but you're kind of looking at a 4-9 record, buddy.
Just don't get the toilet bowl.
Just don't get the toilet.
So yeah, I would say he's got a pretty good shot at making the playoffs. He's got to at least split to be comfortable, but he might not need that even. Looking at Patrick. Patrick's at 5-6, just sitting on the edge of the playoffs right now. He's got some tough matchups.
Yeah, he does. It would not shock me if Pat won one of those games, getting to 6 wins and most likely making the playoffs.
He's got the commissioner this week, and then he's got, who was it? Oh, Show Me the Money. So he's got the top teams in your division these next 2 weeks. So he drew the fucking short straw. Well,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, he's really hoping for some injury health or some health from his team. He is near the bottom of the barrel in terms of points scored this year, but he still has an outside shot at making the postseason.
Yeah.
And Lean,
buddy,
you got a punter's chance.
Yep. He would have to win out. Who's he playing? He's got Lucas, and he's got who was it last week's one? Oh, the commissioner.
Yeah.
So if you won out, you would have a chance. If he split, unlikely. I don't think that's going to happen. He's
got a better shot than Brinkman does to make the postseason, obviously, because he got the tiebreaker over him.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's sitting on the fence? So I'm going to switch over to the overall leaderboard right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at it, and we got the Filthy Casual at 7 at 5-6 record. The Jake from State Farm is 5-6 at number 8 in the seeding, and then you've got 3, 4, and 7 teams behind that, all sitting 9 through 11. Opt out for Harambe, Redskins for life, and the Brink. So right now, 5 wins is the cutoff to get in the playoffs.
If I had to pick one person who I believed was going to knock someone out of the playoffs, it's going to be Blaster.
Yeah. When you're putting up that many points, the only thing – who does he play again? I know we went over this, but he plays Brink and he plays me. So, yeah, I could see him even winning out possibly.
He's hard to stop right now.
Yeah, he's got that Dalvin Cook resurgence going on between him and Rodgers, and the only thing I keep an eye out for is when things get a little bit cold up in December. Up in Green Bay and the ball doesn't fly.
Yeah, that's true.
So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. This is, it's always tight in our league, and usually somebody gets cut out of the playoffs, like Zach said before, where we have to do extensive research to even figure out how you didn't make the playoffs, what tiebreakers actually took place, and I think we'll go through that again this year if it happens. But it's been competitive this year. Really, even Drew at the 12th position, I mean, he's been much more competitive than what seems to have been in the past. And that's why usually we got one or two teams in this league that are almost guarantee wins, and I don't think you can really say that about Drew right now. He's managing to put up 110 to 120 points in games. So
yeah, you got to be on it every single week. No one who's out of the playoffs right now has anything to lose, so they're going to put up the most explosive matchup they can.
And we'll see what happens and how the seeding shakes out. I think if we were to look at the matchups right now after we finish the interdivisional play here, we've got the 1-8 matchup in Week 14 would be Show Me the Money versus Jake from State Farm. The 4 and 5 matchup would be Scotch on the sidelines and Dark Horse. That'd be a really tough matchup. Quarterfinal would be the Goodell boys in the 3 spot against 6, where we get a Stewart Bowl. Zach and his brother would go number 1 overall. And then it would be me and Patrick in the 2 and 7 seed. And those are all really tough matchups. I don't think there's any one team this year that I would look at and say
no,
it's going to be a miracle if they don't win it. Like usually we've got a couple favorites where it looks like they're going to, but I don't think anybody's really dominating this year.
No, I really don't want to play Dark Horse, if I'm being honest. His team has been very hot.
Yeah, he's got some weeks where he could put up 160, and that's hard to beat.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the bets of the week. I already did participate in this with Zach. Sackett, we will have you make your picks, and then I'll read off Zach and I's picks. The first bet that Zach sent over was Denver versus New Orleans. They are playing each other. Wide receiver receptions. It's actually much closer than you would think in terms of their receptions by the wide receivers only.
So which wide receivers group has more receptions this week?
Yep. Denver versus New Orleans.
Is it in New Orleans?
Ooh, let me check. Dead air.
Making noise.
All right. It's in Denver. Okay.
I think it's supposed to be nice, though. I always look at that because that changes stuff.
It does change stuff in Denver.
Taysom Hill is going to get to keep the start, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
How many receptions to receivers? I mean, Michael Thomas had a pretty good game this last week.
He had like 9 catches.
Yeah. Was that all the entire teams? Or
No, I think Willie Snead had a couple as well.
No, he plays for Baltimore. You mean Sanders?
Oh, yes. Sanders had 10 points in fantasy, so I'd assume he had like 4 to 6 catches.
Oh, man. I would say I'm going to say Denver because I think they're going to need it more.
All right. Zach took New Orleans, and I myself also took Denver. Next.
Yeah, I think we're going to need it more. I'm playing from behind.
Yeah, that's probably true. We'll see how the weather shapes out in Denver. Like you said, it's supposed to be nice right now. That's actually where Zach is at right now. So if we end up beating him on this bet, that's going to be kind of funny. Herbert versus Allen. Josh Allen, that is. They're playing this week. Who scores more fantasy points?
Oof. Man, that's a tough one because Allen does not usually – I mean, I know he's had some 300, 400-yard passing games this year, but Herbert's throwing it all over the freaking field. I would say, man, but the problem is Allen will run the damn ball. And I guess I'm going to go Josh Allen.
All right. Zach also did go Josh Allen, and I took Herbert. I do have him on my team. He will be my starting quarterback for the rest of the year. I felt like I had to ride with him.
Didn't he just cut his locks off too, man? That might mess up the flow.
Yeah, he doesn't quite look like the Disney Channel star anymore.
He looks like a 14-year-old.
All right, and finally, taking a bet at the Turkey Gobbler. The 3 games on tap for those of you at home: Detroit, Houston, Dallas, Washington, and Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Over under 27.5 points for any player.
Ooh, okay. So yeah, we have this. So this is reference to our award that we give out.
Correct. The Turkey Gobbler. Yep.
Okay.
Will the Turkey Gobbler have more or less than 27.5 points?
So let's look at the match. Who was the first matchup?
We got Houston, Detroit. You're looking at Galladay, Will Fuller, DeAndre Swift.
Deshaun Watson. Did quarterbacks count?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, they do.
That changes things a little bit because I can see Deshaun Watson going over.
Man, I think quarterbacks count. Yeah, quarterbacks count. The Turkey Gobbler for the last 6 years, or since we've had this league, it's always been a wide receiver.
Yeah. Calvin Johnson, baby.
Yep, twice. Amari Cooper once.
Yeah, I don't know if Galladay is even going to play. And after the freaking Lions put up a stinker against the Panthers, I would say Deshaun Watson has a chance. If I don't have to pick any individual player and I just got to say over 27, I'm taking the over.
All right, you're taking the over. Zach also took the over. I really didn't want to, but just to make it interesting, I took the under. All right, the second part of this bet was guess the Turkey Gobbler.
Guess the player?
Yep.
All right. Let me go through the math. If I had to pick one out of the first matchup, it would be Deshaun Watson.
And then we have Dallas and Washington, and then Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Dallas and Washington.
Oh, I just thought of another player who could possibly get it.
I don't know. I think Scary Terry got some type of injury. I don't know what his status is.
That's where my brain went. I can't believe I didn't think about him earlier. But I did already make my player pick, and he was not it, if that helps.
I think I would say Deshaun Watson, Scary Terry from the second matchup, and then Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I think Baltimore's kind of fucked. They're going to miss 2 of their running backs because Ingram and Dobbins tested positive for COVID.
Yep.
So we don't even know what the Ravens are going to look like by the time they test everybody. And then Baltimore, I think they've got their cornerbacks real healthy, so that could be a tough passing game. No, I don't think anybody really went off for Pittsburgh the last time. That was a dogfight the last time those teams met. I would say if anybody's going to do it in that matchup, it'd probably be – I know he's looked like crap, but I'd probably go with Lamar Jackson.
So, of those 3, who are you picking?
I'm going to go Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson it is for the Turkey Gobbler for Jubal Sackett's pick. 2-time!
2-time.
All right. And with that, do you have anything else to add for this week's episode?
I don't think so.
All right. This was a good episode. As always, thank you for joining me, Sackett.
Did we want to look at we kind of looked at next week's matchups. Do we want to go through those at all? Yeah,
sure. Let's take a look at them. One more rundown. We got we'll go vice versa, reverse, back and forth, just like normal. First matchup is myself taking on Cole. This is a huge seeding game. The winner has a very if I win, I got a good shot at the number 1. If Cole wins, believe he is the number 1.
Yep.
All right. Next is your matchup.
Yep. So I'm taking on Heath and Jake from State Farm. Heath really needs a dub. I'm going to try to keep that from happening. Early projections, it looks like both of us have at least rosterable lineups in. It's got him ahead by 11 points, 131 to 122. Not seeing any really bye week issues or anything for us. There's a chance that Heath could get Austin Eckler back this week, which would be huge for him.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a chance he misses Juju Smith-Schuster because Juju got hurt stepping on the ref's flag.
I believe
And
Mapletron is out this week too.
is he?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, I think David Montgomery is going to be fine coming off concussion. I'm hoping that Christian McCaffrey has a shot. They list him as doubtful on NFL.com, but then they also just came out with a report about an hour and a half ago that said he's expected to practice tomorrow.
Wow.
So I'm hopeful for McCaffrey. I really need – he completely changes my team when he's in the lineup. So we'll see how it shakes out. I'm going to try to spoil Heath's season here, and we'll see how that goes.
Dark Horse and Drew. Currently, Drew is projected to win. We talked about it earlier. Dark Horse does not have a player in his wide receiver spot. Drew does get all of his Bills back, so I think that will be a difference in this matchup.
Circling the wagon.
Go ahead.
All right, next matchup is the good old boys and our commissioner against the filthy casual. I think this is probably the marquee matchup of the week. This could swing things in the playoff standings quite a bit if Patrick were able to pull this off. Right now, it's got him a 10-point underdog to Zach. Looks like they both have rosterable teams on. Zach, his team's staying strong. He's got Derrick Henry, hoping to get Chris Carson back. I'm not sure if he's actually going to make it back this week or not. And then he's riding his receiving core that's pretty strong. So Zach's looking to put up a tough team, and it's going to take a lot for Pat to pull off a win here. But Pat's got a full healthy roster, it looks like. Boyd, and we'll see what Tyler Boyd looks like without Joe Burrow. That could hurt him. He's got a shot, but I think he needs this one.
Next game is a matchup between two teams that is basically a playoff game. We got Blaster taking on Stuart Brinkman. Winner moves on. Loser is likely eliminated.
And the last matchup of the week, I believe, is going to be Monsters and Freight Trains and Lucas against Redskins for life. Lean's just hoping to spoil somebody's season at this point. Luke would be a really good person to do that too.
It's an outstanding citizen.
Oh, man.
Happy Thanksgiving, Luke. Here comes Lean.
It looks like Lean's got some injury issues. I don't know. Roethlisberger's listed as questionable.
Don't worry. He'll be going after that turkey leg. Don't worry about Roethlisberger. There's a turkey leg at the end of that game, so he'll be ready.
We'll see what's rosterable for both these teams at the end of the week, but they both got some lineup decisions to make, and we'll see if Lean can spoil Luke's turkey day.
I'm expecting Lean to plug Allen Robinson back in, so I think that does make a difference. Luke kind of has his best matchup in there. He might play some more favorable guys. We'll see what shakes in that regard.
It'll be interesting to see if DeAndre Swift can turn around and play on a short week again.
Absolutely. Yep.
He's coming off concussion protocol, but it looks like he was limited, but he hasn't cleared protocol yet. So
I almost think they didn't play him this week so that they could play him this week. You know what I mean? I feel like they didn't play him on Sunday so they could play him on Thursday.
I don't think they felt like they needed a full stable of horses to compete with the Panthers, and then they got shut out.
Yeah, it's just another lapse in judgment by Matt Patricia again.
Yeah, the rocket scientist.
All right. And with that, this was another great episode of the Gem City Gridiron Roundup podcast. We'll catch you next week after Thanksgiving. Enjoy the vacation and the holiday.